Kamala Harris said during her campaign that President Trump would impose a 20% sales tax on everyone, warning that this would cost each household at least $4,000 more per year to buy essentials. Items she claimed people were already struggling to afford after the economic policies of Bidenomics or Kamalanomics, which she essentially adopted as her own.
So I was actually sitting out here trying to complete a video edit of something I got coming up, something I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So far, let's see here. This video is 1 hour and 8 minutes, but I got a lot of work to do, so I'd imagine this video is probably going to end up being probably closer to 1 hour and 20 minutes when it's all said and done. However, as I was doing that, I was kind of just skimming over and reading some of the comments. More importantly, some of the ones that get held here, because YouTube has this process of filtering out comments that I have no control over. So sometimes things get lost in the shuffle. So I just like to see what's there. And I came across this one here. And honestly, I'll tell you guys, at first, it was kind of rude. And hear me out. Kevin, please reply to this comment. Well, you've got my attention. What are you going to say? What's the title of the AI lady video you played, explaining tariffs and Kamala actions? Please, I'd like to send it to my idiots to explain how this works. And this was the video Kamala Harris faces worst grilling from Fox News reporter during her, let's see here, I forgot the title, during her tariff debate. Okay, I put that up last night or this morning. I honestly lost track. I was working pretty late. But the reason why I thought it was kind of rude at first is because, well, if you want to share it with your idiots, then just share my video. Like, you're asking where the AI voice came from. You want to share it. Why not just share my video? Like, I don't know. Just seems kind of dick. But either way, I am responding to your comment. And it's not just for you. It's for everybody. It's for me, really. I think about it. Because this is the video here. And we see Kamala Harris here. This is my entire timeline here. I normally try not to get this in depth in my video edits, but this one kind of got me excited, and I really wanted to tell a story. And it's actually interesting because that's how we got here. In fact, we were sitting outside and I was trying to wrap this up, and Michelle, I asked her if she could say what I was thinking and feeling, because I thought that it would be delivered better. I thought that people would receive it better. It would resonate differently than if I said it. You got a way with words.
I have a way with words? A negative way or a positive way?
Trump tariffs, Liberation Day, tax on everybody. Kamala Harris claims Trump was going to do that. Tariffs aren't a tax. It is what it is. But the point I'm trying to make here is that you have two options, three. The first one is to be silent. The second one is to make claims that Trump just raised everybody's prices. Or the third is to really tell the story about what tariffs are. Whatever, I don't care. But the fact of the matter is that everybody you see, every video you watch, X, TikTok, YouTube, doesn't matter. The creator made a choice. And what they tell you on video may not be actually what they believe. That's it.
So, you want me to say all those things?
I'm trying to explain to these people. Like this guy here, Trump just raised all your taxes. Well, you got to think, well, the algorithm's going to push one or the other.
That's true.
Is the algorithm going to push this?
That's true.
Or is the algorithm going to push my story? And as a creator, it's like, you don't know what these people what their motive, like what's their motivation.
Yeah. Okay. But you want me to say like Trump's tariffs and stuff like that? And
You don't have to. I mean, it's just from the perspective of what you see.
Okay.
Here's a coincidence of
well, I can
Lincoln, of Lincoln and Kennedy, and it's just like, well, it's great that they put that together, but it's not really true.
Yeah.
So why did they do it?
See, you should be just recording this as a conversation.
The algorithm pushed it. The algorithm's going to push something.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, well, Trump tariffs hit. I could go with the truth, or I could go with the lie. Which one is the algorithm going to push as a TikTok creator just trying to get fucking views?
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how to say it.
Everything you just said is how you should have said it. Because I don't really know where to start with all that. That's the problem.
Hang on, let's start with this.
Trump just raised your taxes more than anyone else in history.
So there's this guy on TikTok who's TikTok viral, I guess, whatever, for saying that Trump just raised your taxes more than anyone else in his history has raised your taxes. But he didn't really give any proof of that being accurate. He didn't really give any previous tax raises.
And so I see that actually worked, not just with Michelle, but with the female AI voice. Whether you like or dislike, regardless, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it just hits different. That's why we include, that's why I use clips. It's because I could tell you what Letitia James said, but if you see and hear Letitia James, it comes across differently. Okay. And there's multiple ways we can go about this. And this started from the video started as a sponsored video, but I'm not going to run the sponsorship until next week. So I edited the video again minus the sponsorship, and then I just replaced what was in the middle with this.
Kamala Harris said during her campaign that President Trump would impose a 20% sales tax on everyone, warning that this would cost each household at least $4,000 more per year to buy essentials. Items she claimed people were already struggling to afford after the economic policies of Bidenomics or Kamalanomics, which she essentially adopted as her own. But let's pause and unpack this. What exactly is a tariff?
But here's the deal. I'm asking you politely to share my video because it helps out. It helps the channel. It helps me. And I'm trying to make that money, trying to get that check, trying to produce that revenue. But I'm also trying to help you guys and understand as much as possible, which is why the video I'm working on is going on an hour and 20 minutes so far, because I feel like there's a disconnect on communication and education and information. And now is more important than ever. Okay. Because a lot of people are about to get squeezed and what could be considered the greatest wealth transfer of 2025, because obviously we've had the greatest wealth transfer in history for the last 4 years. If you guys have been paying attention to YouTube, that was a very, very strong and trending title and thumbnail to use.
It's interesting because Trump's logic, there's no logic to this, but what he says is that his tariffs, his big, beautiful tariffs, are going to bring in all of this money, and we will actually have enough money that we will be able to have a gigantic tax cut. What he doesn't say, and here's the truth, and this is why Democrats need to be screaming from the rafters, what he doesn't say is that the people who are disproportionately paying for the tariffs are Americans. Tariffs are like regressive taxes. They hit the poor and working class pocketbooks much, much, much more significantly than they hit the pocketbooks of the wealthy and the paychecks of the wealthy versus the paychecks of average working people. And yet the tax cut, like the first Trump tax cut, is primarily going to benefit the wealthy. Put those together and you have a gigantic redistribution upward from working people and the poor to the very wealthy. That is a scandal.
You can call it what you want. You can believe what you want. But one thing that I really picked up on and what this gentleman here is saying is that what he's saying is that Trump is not saying. He says, well, Trump says this and Trump says that, but Trump doesn't say this. And I realize that there's a lot of folks out there that need you to say that. They need the literal meaning and explanation to help them along. Otherwise, they're completely lost and just don't get it. And I've realized that here recently, especially with my coffee cup, my coffee mug, that has been such a distraction. Whether it's a coffee mug, whether it's Michelle in the background in the kitchen, whether it's me wearing a hoodie, whether it's my beard or whatever, it doesn't matter. Folks are watching the videos, perhaps maybe. They're being distracted by things that really don't matter. They're purely there for me to make a meaningful change to the content, so that I can share the clip with fair use and make it my own, but also to create this distraction for what I thought would be the algorithm. But I got to be real with myself here and replace the algorithm with people, and obviously it's worked. But if you are distracted by me, by something in the background of my video, and you're not actually paying attention to the video, then unfortunately you're going to be distracted by the mainstream media. You're going to be distracted by the headlines and the hype and the lies when it comes to tariffs and the economy and your taxes and your income and a wealth transfer. All that doesn't even matter, because at that point, you're not even in the game. There's no way you could be in the game because you're not focused. You're not locked in. And that's why I make these videos. Well, partially. The other reason is because I enjoy making videos, but I really enjoy making videos because making videos makes me a lot of fucking money. But at the same time, I want you guys to have the most accurate, up-to-date, current information, facts, and the truth. Okay? Let's just say, for lack of better words, I want you guys to have a fighting chance. That's it. But hear me out. Like I said, I thought it was kind of rude at first, because I guess there was this assumption that I needed to share this video of this AI voice woman so that you could do the same, instead of just sharing my own video, because that's it. I made that. Like, I made that. And I'm going to literally just show you how I did it. Grok 3, my new best friend. And it's funny, I had no friends. The only friends that I have are AI. But either way, I literally go to Grok 3 and I said, starting with Kamala Harris said during her campaign how President Trump would impose a 20% sales tax on everyone. She warned this would cost everyone at least $4,000 more per year to buy essentials that they already can't afford after Bidenomics/Kamalanomics, since she stole his plan. But what is a tariff? And better yet, how would her economic plan have strengthened the economy? Or better yet, how is President Trump's weakening the economy? So they say. I mean, if Kamala meant she would strengthen the economy of Mexico, Canada, and China, well, then I bet she was right. But in terms of the U.S. economy and making Americans stronger and America great again, well, I regret to inform her she is sadly mistaken. I want to expand on this, especially from her perspective of how President Trump and Liberation Day reciprocal tariffs will have zero impact on prices for products made in America right here in the good old US of A. Besides the point that tariffs are not specifically a tax by definition, and no matter how you try to spin this tale, just another false narrative by the left-wing media and social media retards looking for likes, clicks, views, and shares. Keep this formatted in sentences and paragraphs, and then Grok provides me with this, which is exactly what you heard, for which I then copied, went over to 11 Labs, pasted it, generated the speech, and voila.
Let's pause and unpack this. What exactly is a tariff? And more importantly, how would her economic plan have strengthened the U.S. economy? Or, flipping the script, how is President Trump's approach, particularly his Liberation Day reciprocal tariffs, supposedly weakening it? Harris might have been onto something if she meant her policies would bolster the economies of Mexico, Canada, and China at America's expense. But when it comes to fortifying the US economy, putting more money in Americans' pockets, and making America great again, well, I regret to inform her she's sadly mistaken. First, let's clear the air about tariffs. A tariff isn't a sales tax, no matter how much Harris or the left-wing media try to spin it. A tariff is a fee imposed on goods imported into a country, paid by the importer, not a direct tax slapped on every American consumer at the checkout line. The idea that Trump's proposed tariffs, including the reciprocal ones unveiled on Liberation Day, April 2, 2025, would automatically jack up prices across the board ignores a critical detail. They only apply to foreign-made goods. Products proudly stamped Made in America, right here in the good old US of A, face zero impact on their prices from these tariffs. That's right, zero. A tractor built in Iowa, a shirt sewn in South Carolina, or a widget forged in Pennsylvania won't cost a penny more because of tariffs on imports. This is a simple fact that seems to elude the narrative peddled by Harris and her allies, who'd rather scare people with exaggerated figures than admit the truth. Now, consider Trump's Liberation Day strategy. On April 2, 2025, he announced reciprocal tariffs, 20% on goods from the European Union, 34% on Chinese imports, on top of existing levies, and varying rates on other nations, to level the playing field. The goal? Encourage companies to bring manufacturing back to the US, boost domestic production, and create jobs for Americans. If a company wants to avoid tariffs, it's simple. Make your stuff here. When that happens, prices for those American-made goods stay steady, or even drop, because they're not subject to import fees. Meanwhile, foreign competitors might raise their prices to offset the tariffs, making US-produced items more competitive. Far from weakening the economy, this could spark a renaissance in American manufacturing, putting more workers on payrolls and keeping dollars circulating at home. Harris's $4,000 scare tactic assumes everyone's buying exclusively imported goods. But as American production ramps up, that math falls apart. Contrast this with Harris's economic vision. She leaned heavily on Biden's playbook: big government spending, subsidies for select industries, and tax hikes on corporations and high earners. Her pitch included things like $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers and an expanded child tax credit. Sounds nice, but where's the money coming from? Higher corporate taxes, she said, promising they'd pay their fair share. Yet, jacking up taxes on businesses often trickles down. Companies either pass costs to consumers through higher prices or cut jobs to protect profits. That's not strengthening the US economy, it's squeezing it. And her criticism of Trump's tariffs as a sales tax conveniently ignored her own administration's retention of Trump-era tariffs on China, plus new ones on electric vehicles and solar panels. If tariffs were so disastrous, why didn't she push to scrap them? The real kicker is this: Trump's tariffs are about reciprocity, matching what other countries charge us. If Canada, Mexico, or China slap hefty duties on American exports, why shouldn't we respond in kind? It's not about punishing Americans, it's about protecting them from unfair trade practices. Harris's approach, on the other hand, seemed content to let foreign nations keep the upper hand, flooding our markets with cheap goods while US factories shuttered. Her plan might have strengthened economies abroad, but it wouldn't have done much for the steelworker in Ohio or the machinist in Michigan. Trump's tariffs, especially with their zero impact on Made in America prices, aim to flip that script, reviving industries, creating jobs, and proving that America can stand tall again. The left-wing media and social media echo chambers can cry tax all they want, chasing likes, clicks, and shares, but the reality is this isn't a false narrative. It's a lifeline for the American worker.
Folks, I'm just trying to tell you, I'm trying to be honest. Don't get mad at me. Don't shoot the messenger. Yeah, I know sometimes some of the things I say may come across harsh or brash, but I don't know how else to say it, and I'm not going to change how I do it, but I am trying to help you in more ways than one. One of those ways being informed and educated, and the other is figuring out how you can do these things as well so that you too can make money off of YouTube or social media or working from home or remotely in general. I'm tempted to show you this screen here so that you can see the overall revenue that has been generated just from me sitting here over the last 90 days, just kind of hanging out and chilling, making videos for you guys. But I think that would probably come across wrong, and some people would get kind of bent out of shape about the number. But there's a reason why I do it. Multiple, but this one being one of the main ones. And if you want to know more, if you want to see the number, if you want to get started, if you want to make money, if you want to create your own AI voice videos so you can share with idiots, then come over to Patreon.